Hello, thank you for watching this video, and in this one I am going to be talking about the Mayan calendar and positive and negative energy and how I think this works as far as the universe is concerned. And I got this little circle here that I drew up, and this is a theory of mine. This is the information, the picture that I have been receiving from the third eye chakra, or the spirit guides in which I have been connecting with. And that is to say that this is how the cycle starts. So we see that we got positive and negative energy at the very start, this being the Big Bang Theory about 15 billion years ago, that these two energies would have been attracted to each other and they would have moved away from each other. And it would have been very, very slow, because the way the Mayan calendar calculates time is that things move faster and faster and faster. Not only do they move faster, but they move quite significantly faster, at about 20 times faster than the previous cycle. So with that being stated, this energy is moving this way and this energy is moving this way. And right here would have taken many billions of years just to break that plane. It would have taken probably about 9 or 10, 11, 12 billion years just to go from here to here. Yet this cycle here, which I'll get to shortly, is just going to be a short period of time. So this cycle here is her story. This cycle here is his story. I'll get to more on that in a second. But as we went through each cycle, these would go quicker and quicker down this side, and the same amount of distance this energy would be from the center here, this one would be too. So after the first cycle, which was a cellular cycle, it would be somewhere around here, and that would have taken about 15 billion years. The next cycle, which was a mammalian cycle, that cycle, which was about 800 million years, and it would have moved further, and we kept moving forward and forward and forward. And this point here is a very, very important point. I think at this point here would have been a very instinctive point, meaning people on this planet had very high amounts of instinctive abilities in some form or another. That is all that I'm communicating as far as what would happen then. I have no idea why. As far as what this would be telling me, is this would also be the point where the positive and negative energies would know the least about each other, because at the beginning, because they were attracted to each other, they would have known each other completely well. And as they move forward, they would start to know each other less and less and less. That is until we came here. Now this was at the conclusion of the regional cycle, which was about 5,000 years ago. And quite frankly, it's ironic that it is also at the time where the Bible says that the world began. So because this is his story and the Bible is part of his story, that would probably make the most sense for how that happened. So when we got to this cycle, this was the end of the great cycle. This cycle here was all about nurturing and support. This cycle here is all about production. So we would start to move closer and closer to each other. So when we were in her story for about 15 billion years, the positive and negative energy would draw away from each other. Yet when we moved from his story, they would draw closer to each other. So in theory, this would mean that this would be the quarter way mark. 2012 is the halfway mark, and I'll get more to pass that after I'm done 2012. So if we went to the 25% mark, that would mean that we were 25% evolved. That would mean that there'd be about 25% love and 75% fear at this time. And as we move forward, and this would go faster and faster and faster, this is when we would hit the 50-50 mark, meaning 50% evolution, 50% love, 50% fear, or 50% positive, 50% negative energy in the air. So The first cycle of his story, which was the national cycle, would have lasted close to 5,000 years, give or take. I'm not too sure on the exact figure, but it was around there. And it would have taken about this 5,000 years to go from here to here. Yeah, because things would be speeding up so quickly, that means the next cycle, which was the planetary cycle, would have taken about 250 years. So the amount of evolution that happened in 5,000 years happened again in 250. And the cycle that we're on now would be about 12 and a half years. So even though 2012 is at this time that I'm doing this video is only about 4 years away, this is a lot of evolution that is going to be happening, because we would be like right here. We got all of this distance here to go to 2012, which means that this thing is going to be going extremely fast. I mean, extremely fast to the finish of the end of the Dark Age. So when we get to here, this is where all the change is going to happen. And the one concern that I'm noticing is that it's going to be hard for a lot of people to handle and accept this change, that there could be problems that arise from it. So if you can accept the change, you'll probably adapt a lot more easier to this time period. So now when we get to this point here, 2012, this is the halfway point, and I have said in other videos that I expect this to be a period in which we know each other, because the positive and negative energies, which would be so far away from each other here, have been moving closer and closer to each other. So at 2012, this will be the end of part 1. I'll continue this on part 2.